In this video, I'm going to break down the exact paid ads that I use to scale my agency to 150K a month. And I'm going to show you the kind of ad styles that you need to use to make paid ads work for you as well. So I'm going to go through video ads. I'm going to go through static ads. I'm going to go through B-roll ads, UGC ads. I'm going to show you how to actually use them to get best results, okay? Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is George Clements. I am the CEO and founder of Paid House Media, which is an agency that I scaled to 200K a month at its peak. I help other agencies scale with paid ads. So let's jump in. Now, the first thing I want to touch on is the diversity of ads that you want to run, okay? One big mistake that I see a lot of agencies making is that every single ad is just a extremely direct offer. Now, this is 100% what you should start with, okay? And this is, again, before we get into like the types of ads that you can run, I'm just saying like, what is the overall angle of the freaking ad itself. Most agencies, they just do direct offer, sell, 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 sell. And you know, that's fantastic, but you got to remember, if this is your market, only a certain percentage, maybe call it 3 to 5%, is actually ready to buy. It might even be less than that. That is really the only segment of the market that these direct offer ads speak to. And so you're kind of capped. And so when you try and scale your ad spend, if you want to, you know, hit 150, 200K a month and you want to start really spending, you know, $1,000 a day on ads, you can't do that because you're stuck in this segment. So how do you get out of that? Well, you start going a little bit more up the funnel. I would say the next stage is proof on authority. It's still pretty salesy because you're kind of flexing all the great case studies that you get, but it's definitely less so than the direct offer ads. And so this probably opens up another stage of the market here, which might be 10% of the market, okay? So that's going to allow you to scale even more. And then you've got the creative and needs convinced ads. And so these are really educational ads that are taking people who are, if you think about the awareness funnel, so you've got unaware, you've got problem aware, you've got solution aware, and then you've got brand aware, okay? Brand aware, you know, we're not even really talking about these people here. That's not really who paid ads applies to. Brand aware, that's more when you've been through all your organic content, they just really know who you are. Solution aware, this is where, you know, they know how they have the problem, so they know they need to run paid ads, they know they need to post on social media, they know they need to do SEO, whatever service it is that you sell. Those direct offer ads really work there, and also sort of the proof on authority. And I guess the creative and the need convinced ads kind of help these buckets here. But maybe they know they've got a problem, but they just don't know what the solution is. And so this ad where you actually explain what it is that your offer does and why your solution is so important really helps them, you know, move through the funnel until they become solution aware, which is really where these two stages here is where, you know, the money is made. So they know they need to use your solution. It's just whether they go with you or a different company. So if you can tap into those creative and needs convinced kinds of ads, again, that's going to open up maybe another 20%. And then we have what I like to call wild and long form ads. This should be less than 10% of the ads that you run in the account. These are just like crazy Hail Mary tests and super creative things that you try. The reason why I think you should do this is very simple. All of my winning ads and all of the winning ads that my clients have made, the crazy winners, I'm talking about like the 10x outliers that can get you to hundreds of thousands of dollars a month of revenue in your agency or your info business or whatever it is that you run. They're typically not logical. Like they don't come from like copying people in the meta ads library or just following line by line direct offer ads. They're typically something super creative in a really different like wacky, you know, environment or something like that. And so I just encourage you to really take some Hail Marys, because if it's only 10% of your creative volume, there's really no risk in doing so. That might unlock another segment of the market as well. This is the 30-30-30-10 rule, and you want to make sure that you distribute your creative accordingly. Don't just run direct offers. Now we're out with that, let's jump into the actual types of ads that you want to be running on a daily basis. Starting with video ads. Now, a general rule of thumb that I've seen between videos and statics, because a lot of agency owners asking me, do I run videos, do I run statics? They're both good, but here are some of the general rules that I notice. Videos are more extreme in whether they're good or bad. So video ads are either great and they crush, or they're terrible and they flop. Static ads, in my experience, spending hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on ads for myself and also my B2B agency clients, they are way more consistent, middle ground. And that's why it's good to run a mix of both, because static ads are going to kind of hold you through and they're going to be quite a lot more consistent, but they're not going to be like the crazy outliers that like all of your best ads will be video ads for sure. The reason for that is very simple. If you get a video ad that just resonates, that just hits, it's going to be more powerful. It's going to be more moving because it's going to build trust with you or whoever the brand face is in the ad. It's also going to explain more about your offer. It's just going to allow for higher close rates and warmer prospects, okay? Because they're going to watch, you know, a 60 to 90 second video ad, if you do it right, explaining every single one of their problems to the T. That's why video ads do work better. That's the first thing. The second thing is lead quality. Okay, ultimately video ads are going to have better lead quality than static ads, because when it comes to lead gen and offers, if you think about physical products, static ads work great for those, like even better, because it's just a physical product. It does what it says on the tin. It's relatively self-explanatory. Whereas with coaching agencies, we have these complex offers that oftentimes require a freaking sales call just to explain and just to help someone come to a decision. And so static ads, they just don't quite necessarily capture the level of information needed for someone to make a buying decision. That can lead to a lot of, sometimes, a bit of bad lead quality because people just click through the ad without thinking, skip your VSL, fill out the application and just book the call. Whereas again, video ads, they're going to just be able to have a lot more information about the offer, so they're going to be able to make a buying decision quicker, more or less. Both have worked for me. So firstly, we have the direct offer ad. You've got a lot of different names for this. It could be talking head ad, direct ad, but this is like straight down the barrel to the camera. And the way that I do these is pretty simple. So firstly, I obviously could do a hook. Okay, every video ad starts with a hook, which is going to be 1 to 3 seconds long. And then I get straight into the offer. No messing around. Pretty much 9 times out of 10, I'm getting straight into the offer. It would sort of be like, hey, B2B SaaS businesses, do you want to increase your user growth by 30% without touching paid ads? That would be a hook because it's following the ABC framework. So it's calling out the audience, B2B SaaS in this case. It's calling out the benefit, increase in user growth, and it's invoking curiosity because we're saying, hey, you don't even have to touch paid ads, which is like, what the hell, that's how does it work? And so that's why that hook would work and get a pretty decent hook rate. Again, we want to be seeing 20% plus hook rates with our hooks, okay, in the ads manager. Then, as I said, we go straight into the offer. So I would literally be like, here's my offer to you. I'm going to do this, 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 and this. I'm going to like stack the deliverables. We're going to do this for you. We're going to do this for you. We're going to do this for you. So to really, stack that perceived value. Obviously, if there's some kind of a guarantee, that's great. How does the offer benefit them? Is there a guarantee or risk reversal? Because you would obviously want to mention that. Then you would obviously want to go into, social proof, so proof that the offer's worked. And then ultimately you want to go into some kind of CTA as well. All right, there's different variations we can do. We can throw in like objection handles, we can throw in other stuff, but that's the broad structure of a direct offer ad. So as you can see, it's basically like sales from second 1 to second 90. And this is 100% what you should start with because it's going to capture the lowest hanging fruit in the market. It's going to be your easiest sales because it's going to talk to those 1%, 2% of people that just want what it is that you sell straight away. And so that's why you should always start with these, but they're just not going to scale very far. And number one, and number two, they can tend to burn out a little bit more, a little bit faster in terms of getting ad fatigue faster, just because they are so bottom of the funnel. They just don't really appeal to a lot of people. And so eventually you burn through the audience that it's relevant to, watch rate, average watch times go down, CPMs go up, and the ad gets less effective. That is the direct offer ad. You should start with this, and you can run them in different formats. You can do 9x16. I always recommend clients start by 9x16, and that's like the vertical iPhone format, because you're going to just be able to serve on like the maximum amount of placements. You're going to be able to serve on Reels. Obviously, everyone's watching short form these days, so 9x16 you serve on short form, whereas the other two you just don't tend to get placed there because it's not like a good fit. I recommend starting 9x16. However, I've had winning ads with all of these formats. Okay, so 4x5 is more sort of like square, you call that. And these ads are cool because you can really fit a good banner onto these ads. I recommend testing banners, okay? There's nothing magical about banners. Sometimes they can work really well for certain niches. I would just give them a test and see if they work well instead of no banner at the top of the ad. And then finally, we have 16:9, so horizontal or landscape. My best ever ad was a horizontal ad, which is kind of funny. So again, these work well. You see less of them these days because again, they just don't really serve on the most placements. And I do feel like since I had that ad, Meta has started to prioritize these less and less because I just personally don't see them anymore. However, maybe it's a good opportunity for you to stand out from the market. Next, we have podcast ads. So these crush, like freaking crush, because for the simple reason that prospect doesn't feel like they're being sold to. Like sometimes when you have a direct offer ad like this, 1-to-1, it's like, okay, it's another ad, skip. Only like 1 or 2% of the market's going to be receptive to this. Okay, but a podcast ad, it's not you being sold to, it's someone else that they're talking to, the person in the ad, right? And so it just feels a lot less direct. It feels a lot more educational. Like when you watch a podcast, you're typically there to learn something. So the viewer retention on these ads seems to be a lot better. And they can really bypass that feeling of like, oh, it's an ad and I'm being sold to. And so these are great. Again, you can have a pretty similar script. It wouldn't be as direct. It's typically kind of like a topic that you would talk about in a podcast. You would say like, hey, I was talking to an agency and a friend of mine and they got insane results doing this, right? And that would be the hook, because that's again something like you could imagine, being discussed in a podcast. And then you would go through and explain, the unique mechanism that you do for your clients and the results that it gets and how incredible it is. And then you would obviously have a bit of a softer CTA. You don't like break the fourth wall in terms of the camera and say, hey, click the learn more button below. It's just a bit of a softer CTA. It's kind of hard to explain, but definitely test these podcast ads. And then finally, we have UGC ads. So you've got Mr. William Brown here, big fan of this guy. What I mean by UGC ads is user generated content. So I don't mean that you have to use a UGC creator. I just mean that they're like low production quality. So you're holding your iPhone, you're walking around the park or your house and, the camera's shaking and the lighting is shit. And that's by design because it fits in with the rest of the user's feed. A lot of people have these kind of clunky setups, and so again, it feels less polished. Sometimes when you have like super polished ads like this one, people just like, oh great, there's an ad, skip. Whereas when it's a little bit more rough around the edges, it blends in a little bit more. And especially if your client base kind of likes that style of like raw video, it can be really, really effective. A couple of things, you've got to make sure in whatever ad you have, you obviously have a hook, a body, and a CTA. That's self-explanatory. The hook's 1 to 3 seconds. The body will be angle of the ad. So that's sort of, the 60 to 90 second. And then the CTA is, hey, click learn more below, take action, super important. Now the hook is the most important part, okay? It's really the 80-20, because if you can force more people to watch the ad, you're going to get so much more throughput. Like the hook is almost always the bottleneck. And so you should focus most of your effort on the hook. So that's, I advise my clients to really launch with an initial batch of 10 ads. And really the major change in each of these 10 ads is the hook, and the body's going to stay mostly the same. It might change a little bit just to relate better back to the hook a little bit better. As I said, with the hook structure, we've got the ABC framework. So audience, there's different types of call out. So direct call out, problem call out. So, hey, if you're, XYZ struggling to do this, situation call out. Hey, if you're XYZ and you're experiencing this situation. Desire call out, hey, if you're XYZ and you want to get this. Direct benefit, so I'll help you book 20 to 30 sales calls a month. Implied benefit, this is a little bit softer, again, can help people get past the feeling of thinking they're being sold to. Curiosity as well, listen to this. The best kind of curiosity is just inherent curiosity from the hook that you've just said. You don't have to physically be like, hey, listen to this. That works, but you should hopefully understand what I'm trying to say. There's different body types. So I've been over the direct offer, which you can see here. Again, feel free to pause this, take a screenshot. Hopefully it's useful to you. But there's also different types of bodies. Another one that I like is the false problem body. This one works really well for the podcast style of ad because it's a little bit less direct. And a CTA structure, if you're finally ready to stop pain or problem, if you're sick of over-relying on Facebook ads, do you want to leverage Google ads to get XYZ, and click the learn more button below and book a free call with us. And on the call, we're going to do XYZ. Okay, that's how I would structure the CTA. Now let's jump into the lovely static ads here. Okay, so you can there's such a wide variety of static ads, and that's why it can be quite overwhelming for beginners to jump into, because there's so many different things that you can test. And really, you just kind of have to go back to these 3 pillars. Number 1, you want instant clarity. Okay, so your ad should be able to be understood in 1 second or less. If the static is just all over the place, it's just going to take too much comprehension power. People are going to skip through it. If someone's scrolling Instagram, they're in a very high consumption state. If they can't quickly understand what it is that you're saying, you're going to lose them. You want to pattern interrupt. Okay, you want to make sure that it's very different. That's why ads like this print, I know it looks ugly as hell, but it's such a huge pattern interrupt from all the other polished stuff that you see on Instagram these days that it actually works. And then finally, precision. So one ad, one job. Don't try and make one static ad do everything. The nice thing about statics is you can make a lot of them very quickly, and so they can do different things, so to speak. We'll use Hormozi here. This is a great static ad, okay? I guess a typical static ad is going to have a headline. What is the benefit or the painful problem or the curiosity? Okay, so here, benefit. All right, here, this is more of almost like a pain. We're creating FOMO, still not doing this. Here is a benefit. This is almost like a curiosity thing, like what's the business backpack? And here is obviously a benefit, okay? So benefit, curiosity, or pain. And then you want to give the offer in the ad. So for our Google Ads setup offer, it was a one-time payment. This is the average result that we get. This is what you get in the setup, and this is another benefit, all right? Same thing here. You get this book, you get this book, you get this book, you get this, and you get this. It's not necessary. For example, here, this ad, this sort of more ugly ad hasn't necessarily explained the offer. It's just invoked a big benefit and a ton of curiosity. So again, rules are there to be broken, but I would say if it's your first time doing statics, make sure you have a clear headline, which is either a benefit, a problem, or a curiosity or a circumstance. You have bullets which outline the offer, so 4 or 5 bullets outlining the offer, and then you have some kind of a CTA, which again, the Hormozi ad here follows all of those best practices. And also you might want to include who this is for. Niche, this is pretty important. Since Hormozi goes broad, it's not relevant for him, but for us, we go after ecom brands. For this ad, they're going after service businesses, so you might want to also include the niche in the heading or somewhere else. So that's how I would do statics, okay? Mistakes to avoid: super unreadable text, tiny text, cluttered layouts, over-designed backgrounds. You want to avoid all of those things. Obviously, don't go with a generic offer. You want to make sure that you lead with a mechanism instead of an outcome. So again, this is what these ads do. 15.5 million views on average, predictable growth, organic, social. That's the unique mechanism. Don't just copy competitors blindly. You do have to get a little bit more creative with static ads, okay? And then finally, one ad type that I see quite a lot these days is these B-roll ads. I could go on for days and days. There's more different types of ads as well, but mostly they fall into these buckets. You could obviously say B-roll is a type of a video ad, but it's a little bit different because it's super short. Like it is a video technically, but it's like 5 to 10 seconds long. And it's just going to be some kind of B-roll of someone basically in a desirable situation. So they're on a beach, they're on a boat, they're at a party, they're at a private jet, like some kind of status that your ideal prospect wants. And then you want to basically have your offer just over the top of that. Super simple. So you literally just want to go, for example, you're giving a POV that your ideal prospect wants, and then you get into the offer. So custom strategy, custom script, directing through the content, editing the post. You only have to film once a month. You just basically lay out the offer straight away. You agitate a problem or you give a super palpable benefit, and then you sell the solution quickly. Make sure it's got like that kind of IG story feel. They work well as retargeting ads, but they actually work really well as cold ads as well. So you can test them on cold too. Make sure you follow that direct agitation. So you call out the problem, you amplify the pain, and you also paint the outcome as well, okay? So stack the deliverables. Again, what do they get? Editing, social posting, all that good stuff, okay? So this is not one that I would test straight away, but that's just one that I see working. It's easy to make. It works really well at the moment. So hopefully that was useful. Hopefully you've gotten some inspiration for your own paid ads. If you're an agency owner and you're not currently running paid ads, I highly encourage you to just go watch some of my other videos on this channel. I break down why you need to be running paid ads in 2026, why cold email content is just pretty much dead when it comes to signing clients at scale. And regardless whether you are running paid ads or you're not, if you want me and my team to give you a custom action plan for how you can scale your paid ads in 2026 and sign 5, 10, or 15 clients a month profitably, click the first link in the description. You'll hop on a one-to-one call with me. There's no sales team. It's not a course. It's not group coaching, okay? It's just direct high-end consulting, or even done for you as well. Other than that, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.